Hello, everyone. So these mastery checks were tricky. So I just wanted to go over them to make sure that we got it. So let's do this first one together. So a human gene has two alleles. Okay, one is dominant and one is recessive. So big P, and I'm not a big fan of the P's because sometimes they're hard to tell. So big P is dominant, little p is recessive, and this would be heterozygous. It says that embryos that have a big P and a big P equals fatality, right? The embryos aren't born. So what is the expected ratio of genotypes? So we're only looking at the combinations of letters for the live babies, only for the live offspring if we cross two heterozygous parents. So that means the parents that we're crossing, one is big P and little p, and it's kind of hard to see that, right? I'm a big fan of these P's. And the other parent is a big P and a little p. And then when you cross them, you get a big P and a big P, you get a big P and this little p. Here you get a big P and this little p, and down here you get a little p and a little p. So if we're looking at the genotypes, one genotype is big P, right? We have two more genotypes that are big P, little p, and then we have this other genotype that's a little p. So if we're looking at the ratios of these genotypes, we have 1 to 2 to 1. However, this one's fatal, so we don't include it. So the best answer for this was B. All right, so let's look at the next one. In this one, and this is a very typical IB question when they tell you about like the individual's parents. So in cats, black color is dominant over gray. So let's say big B equals black. Whoops. Big B equals black, and little b is the allele for gray. Then it says a female black cat. So all we know is that she's black. So this black cat could be, right, big B, or it could be big B, little b. We don't know. However, it says her mother was gray. So if the mother was gray of this cat, the mother was gray, that had to be a little b. So one of these little b's went into this female black cat. So this female black cat had to be heterozygous. She had to be a big B, little b, because one of these alleles for gray she inherited from her mother. Okay. So it says, what will happen when she mates with a gray male? So then we just do the cross. So we know the female is heterozygous. We know the male is homozygous recessive because he's gray. That's the only way you can get gray is if you have two little b's. So then you do the cross. You've got a big B, little b. Here you have a little b. Put my little cross there. Here you've got a big B, little b. And here you have a little b. What are the predicted phenotypes? So we're looking at the colors. So we have 1, 2 black cats, 1, 2 gray cats, so 50-50. So the best answer here was B. And then the last mastery check. Who loves mastery checks? The last mastery check, a purple flowered plant of a dominant phenotype is crossed with a white flowered homozygous recessive. So we know that purple is dominant, and the allele for white would be the recessive one. So let's write that down there, purple, little p equals white. We always use the same letters, right, when we're looking at a simple cross. However, the plant is purple, so we don't know, right? We just know it's got a dominant phenotype, but we don't know if it's a big P, or big P, little p, because we don't know the genotype, because both of these would equal purple, right? So you can think of this as like a big P and then like question mark. So when it's crossed with a white plant, so we know that the other plant is little p. When it's crossed, all of the plants are purple. So the only way that could happen, the only way you could get a big P in all these situations is if this question mark was also a big P. So therefore, it had to be homozygous dominant.